if you have a pineapple top and you put it into water, let me explain about your pineapple top, why it turned too long. It's actually really fascinating that your pineapple top, the crown you cut off from the fruit, was able to grow these fresh green leaves and even look stronger, and more alive than before. Just from being placed in water, a lot of people might think, wait, plants need so further complex root system and a whole setup in order to keep growing. How is this even possible? But the truth is, pineapple plants, which belong to the bromeliad family, have some pretty unique biological features that allow them to survive and thrive even in situations where most plants would simply wither away. Let me break it down for you in a natural way, because once you understand how a pineapple crown works, it kind of changes the way you look at plants in general. First of all, the most important reason your pineapple top could keep growing is because the very center of that crown, the part we call the growing tip or apical bud, was still alive when you cut it off. As long as that tiny hidden growth point hasn't been damaged, hasn't been crushed, and hasn't been rooted, the plant basically had the ability to keep producing new leaves indefinitely. Think of it like the control center of the plant. It's not very big, and you don't always see it directly because it's tucked inside the cluster of leaves. But that's where all the action happens. If the control center survives, the plant can keep building itself up again, even without roots for a while. Now, here's another thing that makes pineapples and other bromeliads stand out: the way their leaves are structured. If you look closely, the leaves aren't just sticking out randomly. They are tightly packed and layered, kind of overlapping each other in a spiral. At the base of those leaves, they form these little cups or funnels that can actually hold on to water. In the wild, this feature is crucial because a lot of bromeliads don't grow in soil at all. They are epiphytes, meaning they grow attached to trees or rocks, sometimes high up where there's hardly any soil. Instead of pulling water strictly from the ground, they use their leaf structures to trap rainwater, dew, and even bits of organic matter. Tiny creatures and dust particles get caught in that water, and over time, they can actually provide nutrients too. So you place a pineapple crown in a cup of water, that natural leaf funnel system is still working. The center of the plant can directly absorb the moisture, and it's enough to keep the plant alive and allow it to produce new leaves. And that brings us to the root system, or other, the lack of immediate dependence on one. For most plants, the roots are absolutely essential. They absorb water and the nutrients, alcohol, the plant into the soil and pretty much keep the whole system alive. But pineapple tops are different. In their earlier stages, they don't really need developed roots in order to survive. They can really heavily on observing moisture through their leaves and through that central cup we just talked about. That's why you can literally just stick the crown in water and it won't die right away. In fact, they'll even keep on growing new leaves. It's not magic, it's just the way they're evolved to adapt to inversion modes where soil isn't always available. Of course, the real engine behind all of this is photosynthesis. As soon as your pineapple top is exposed to light, especially sunlight, the Chow plants inside its leaves start working. They capture light energy and use it to transform water and carbon dioxide from the air into sugars and other compounds that the plant can use as fuel. That's why those new leaves you saw are such a vibrant green. The plant is actively photosynthesizing, producing energy and growing stronger. The green color itself comes from chlorophyll, the pigment that's essential for this process. So when you notice your pineapple top putting out these fresh, strong-looking leaves, that's basically your proof that the photosynthetic machinery is running well, and the plant is not just surviving, it's actively thriving under the conditions you are giving it. Now here's the catch. While it's totally possible for the pineapple crown to keep growing in just water for a while, water alone doesn't provide the full set of nutrients. The plant needs to stay healthy in the long term. Think about it in this way. If a human tried to survive only on plant water, they might live for a while, but eventually their body would start to weaken because they are missing proteins, vitamins, minerals, and so on. It's the same for plants. Water gives hydration, but it doesn't have the nutrition, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, and all the other essential elements that plants need or prepare development. If you keep your pineapple top in water forever, you will eventually notice the leaves start to look weaker, maybe a little yellowish, and the overall growth will slow down. That's why, if you are serious about letting this pineapple crown become more full-grown plant again, maybe even producing fruit someday, you'll want to move it into soil at some point. Pineapple do best in well-drying, loose soil that all allows the roots to span out and breathe. They hate drier conditions, so you don't want dense, compacted dirt that holds too much water. Once the crown develops roots in soil, it will be to pull in all the nutrients it needs to grow strong and healthy, and all that stage, the water you give it becomes much more than just hydration. It becomes a medium that carries dissolved minerals up into the plant. But here's the real cool part. The fact that your pineapple crown got this far on noticing, but water already tells you a lot about the resistance of the plant. It's almost like a survival mechanism in nature. When a pineapple fruit falls to the ground or when the crown gets separated somehow, it doesn't immediately die. Instead, the crown has everything it needs to give itself another shot at life, provided there's enough moisture and sunlight around. It's like the plant is programmed with a backup plan. Okay, it's if I don't have roots right now, I'll keep myself going with energy reserves I'll get. Use my leaves to grab water and keep photosynthesizing until I manage to rot again. That kind of building resilience is why pineapples have been able to survive in all sorts of environments, from tropical fruits to home gardens. And let's talk a little bit about your personal observation, because the fact that you noticed the leaves turning such a bright green is actually a really important indicator in plants. Leaf color tells you a lot about their health. Pale yellow leaves often mean there's a nutrient deficiency or that the plant isn't getting enough light. Dark dual green leaves might mean the plant is under stress, maybe from too much water or not enough. But bright vibrant strong green usually means the plant is in a really good place. Its photosynthesizing activity is making plenty of chlorophyll, and it's gathering enough energy to push out new growth. So what you are seeing is the plant basically saying, hey, I'm doing fine right now. I've got enough light, I've got water, and I'm going to keep going. Now, one thing I should mention, just so you don't get your hopes set on water alone, is that while this setup works beautifully in the short term, it won't carry you all the way to getting another pineapple fruit. Growing fruit is a much more energy-intensive process for the plant. It takes not only water and sunlight, but also a steady supply of nutrition, time, and proper conditions. In fact, even in soil, it usually takes a couple of years for a pineapple plant to reach the point where it can produce another fruit. But if you are willing to transplant your crown into soil, keep it in a warm and sunny spot, and take care of it patiently, there's definitely a chance you will eventually get that stage. It's not fast, but it's rewarding, because you will have taken something as simple as a leftover pineapple top and turned it back into a living fruit plant.